and they're so fixated on January 6th, all right? They've been talking about investigations. They've been talking about massive reviews. They obviously want to score political points. And now it's gotten ultra political. The Democrats want to have a committee, and they are vetoing key Republicans like Representatives Jim Jordan's, and Representative Banks. These are fantastic inquisitors. You want them on the committee, but they've been rejected by Nancy Pelosi. So Leader McCarthy had something to say about that.
This represents something that has not happened in the House before for a select committee by the historian. It's an egregious abuse of power. Pelosi has broken this institution, made it undeniable this panel has lost all legitimacy and credibility. And it shows exactly what I warned back at the beginning of January, that Pelosi would play politics.
She's broken the institution. Wow. Well, someone who was destined to be on that panel, but not anymore, is Republican Congressman Kelly Armstrong of North Dakota. And you saw him there in the clip with Leader McCarthy. Congressman Armstrong, welcome to Newsmax. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Greg.
You bet. So just overall, before we talk about what Pelosi did here, do you see the need for a bipartisan panel to look into January 6th?
Well, I mean, we obviously didn't support the earlier one, but when the Speaker has, I mean, I think that's the point of all of this. The Speaker has the ability to impanel this. What she doesn't have to do, what she doesn't have is the ability to pick who is on the committee. I served with Jim Jordan for 2 years on judiciary, through the Mueller, through 2 impeachments, through all of those things. And I'm really concerned about what Leader McCarthy said. I think this institution is fundamentally being changed. And I don't think it has anything to do with the last election. And to be honest, I don't think it has anything to do with the next election. I think it has to do with Speaker Pelosi maintaining an ironclad grip on her conference for the next 18 months.
Can they have a committee with just Democrats? Because all Republicans, including yourself, have been pulled, understandably so, after what happened. Can they go forward without Republicans? Would they try that?
Well, I think they will, because not all Republicans have been polled, and as long as there is one on the committee, they'll have a quorum. But I don't think the American people are going to give it any credibility, and they shouldn't. And this is regardless of where you stand ideologically on the spectrum. This is not how this place operates. This is not how this place should operate. And this is being, listen, every time Speaker Pelosi uses the word unprecedented, it's to consolidate power in her office. It was unprecedented to put a glass case in the balcony so she could get the gavel to begin with. It was unprecedented to put metal detectors around the Capitol or the House floor. It was unprecedented to allow proxy voting long after it was no longer necessary. But all of those things give her a complete control over the U.S. House and over the People's House, and it's unacceptable. And unfortunately, when institutions change like this, they never go back to the way they were, and that's tragic. And we should be talking about that.
Here's a Democratic senator, Casey of Pennsylvania, on cable today, talking about how they're going to shape this committee.
And anyone who voted for the objections to my home state of Pennsylvania or Arizona should have no role in this. They are, by definition, disqualified. They voted against the Constitution. They committed what I think is a constitutional crime. They should be nowhere near the membership and participation in any investigative effort, because they are, by definition, totally biased in favor of a set of actions that are contrary to our Constitution. So,
you know, the vote wasn't up or down on the Constitution. The Electoral Count Act of 1887 allowed for this. You were allowed to vote no on January 6th. What's your reaction to what he just said?
Well, it's very interesting that a senator is weighing in on that, because Speaker Pelosi hasn't said that. And the reason she hasn't said that is because her chairman of the Select Committee has voted to object to electors in the past. Jamie Raskin has voted to object to electors in the past.
That's right. Yeah.
But the bottom line is this. The majority does not get to pick minority membership. And if that's the road they're going down, listen, the math, the maps, and their policies are going to have us take back the majority in 2 years. And a lot of their members better think about what this looks like. I don't think Speaker Pelosi cares, because I don't think she'll be here in the minority. But the long-lasting damage she's doing to this institution is going to be felt long after today. Long after today.
What about getting back to the hearing about January 6th? Do you think that, let's face it, there are people who are deeply suspicious about Nancy Pelosi, what she did, what signals she gave to the sergeant at arms, security, no security, why those people were let into the Capitol. Did they want a conflict? Did they want all of this? There are people who think that or are wondering that. You think she might be vulnerable on any of that?
Well, there's a lot of questions we want to ask about Capitol Police leadership, why the National Guard was being staged, why they didn't have a protocol to get them in place to begin with. Listen, they knew. I mean, we need to make sure why this entire building wasn't secure, and we need to make sure it never happens again. And we have to do that in a way that allows access to the people's house from constituents from all over the country that want to get here. Those should be our #1 priorities. We want to keep everybody who works here, who visits here, and who's a member here safe, and we want to allow access for the American people. That's what this commission should be working towards. But I think it's pretty interesting that Chairman Thompson said everything's on the table, but he's also said that the Speaker's office is off the table. So I don't know what everything on the table means, but it means something different to me than it does to the chairman.
Oh, yeah, looks like I hear that they're trying to work this out so they have to compel President Trump to testify. That's obviously a stunt on their part. Congressman Armstrong, we so appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, and we'll be right back.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.